Now, much of our project will involve formatting tabular data in a browser, lists of contacts, etc. So we'll now look at rendering tabular data to the browser. Go to the snippets. In examplets, tables start here, and save this in the demo folder as tabletest.php. You'll notice that this is a standard HTML table specifying a border of 1. That's simply so we can see the cells in the table, with the start and end table tags. And there are 2 rows of data, one with table data of salutation, first name, last name, and company. So there are 4 columns of data within the first row and the second row. In the second row, I've simply put in some static data to illustrate the point. Go to your browser and the index of demo page, refresh that to find the table test document, and run that. And we'll see exactly what we expect, a simple HTML file with 4 columns and 2 rows, one a header row and a single row of data. Now what we really want to do here is repeat the data row as many times as there are rows of data that we wish to display. So we'll delete that and repeat this static row. I've still got static data in here, but I'm going to repeat the row 5 times. I've put in a variable at the top, numRows equals 5. I've set a counter to 0, and while this counter is less than numRows, it will repeat the table record construct with the static data inside it and increment the counter. Let's save that and see what we get. Refresh the browser, and immediately you notice that we don't get anything. I've done this deliberately to illustrate that there is case sensitivity in variables. Notice numRows here is spelt differently from numRows here. We needed to have an uppercase R in there. That's something that can cost you a lot of time if you don't take care with it. So now save the file, and yes, refreshing it will generate our 5 rows of static data. But we don't want numRows to be just any old arbitrary number. We want numRows to be the number of rows in our data. Now in reality, we'll be wanting to read the data from our database, and we'll come to that shortly with a select statement. But for time being, we're going to get the data from a file we saved in an earlier lesson. We saved the file, data file, in the dbwip folder. Now to access that file this time, we need to go up a level because we're in the demo folder with this file. We need to go up to the htdocs folder, down to the dbwip folder, and then find the file, data file. And we've seen all this before. It generates an array variable which is indexed by number, so it's a numeric array, so that record 0 will be the first row of data, record 1 the second row of data, and so on. And then the items within each row will be salutation, first name, second name, and company. It also generates the variable numRows to tell us how many times we're going to repeat this row of data. Of course, we don't want static data in there. We want to put in here the elements of the numeric array person data. So we're going to read the CSV data file. We'll set up the table with its start and finish tags. We'll set up a header row, and then we'll repeat the data row for as many rows as we have in numRows. Save the file and regenerate the list. And yes, here are all of the data rows we had in the CSV file displayed in a table. We'll be using this concept a great deal during the course of our project. The only difference will be that instead of reading data from a CSV file, we'll be using a select statement to select the data from the database.